Leading up to Super Bowl 59, the majority of the media coverage surrounded the Chiefs' three-peat bid and what that would mean for Pat Mahomes' legacy. No other back-to-back Super Bowl champion had ever even reached the Super Bowl before, so what Mahomes was setting out to do was unprecedented. Many people argued that a three-peat on his resume and 4 Super Bowl wins before the age of 30 would have made him the GOAT already. But nobody seemed to account for what would happen if the Chiefs lost, and that's exactly what happened. Not only did they lose, they got embarrassed just like their only other Super Bowl loss of the Mahomes era. The pushback on the GOAT debate was swift and resounding, with endless swarms of fans claiming that this is a stain on Mahomes' resume that's irredeemable. So even though he's not even 30, fans believe there's no longer a path to him becoming the GOAT. Before we even get into the debate, I think it's important to nail down a definition for the greatest of all time, because different people have different interpretations. What it means to me to be the GOAT is you need to have unprecedented levels of team success, individual success, and talent can be an added bonus. Tom Brady is widely considered to be the greatest player of all time, and even though he wasn't even close to the most talented, his individual and team success had never been seen before. He won 3 MVPs during his career and 7 Super Bowl rings, which is more than any other franchise in NFL history. So because of this sustained dominance, people just assumed that it would be decades before anyone challenged his legacy, let alone surpass it. So I think that's a big reason why Mahomes' dominance is such a shock to everyone's system. In what was essentially his rookie season, Pat Mahomes set the league on fire by throwing for 50 touchdowns and over 5,000 yards on his way to winning the league MVP. He led Kansas City to the AFC Championship game, where he lost an overtime thriller to Brady, 37-31. When Mahomes came right back the next season and won the Super Bowl, the writing was on the wall that Brady's legacy would quickly have a challenger. Fast forward to today, and Mahomes has been to 4 more Super Bowls and won 3 of them. He's also won another MVP and is on pace to contest, if not break, every all-time passing record imaginable. So as unbelievably impressive as Tom Brady's career was, Mahomes is already having a better one. He and Brady were both 3-2 through their first 5 Super Bowls, but it took Tom 11 years to get the 5 Super Bowls. It's only been 7 for Pat. He's been to the AFC Championship game in every season as a starter, and he's only missed the Super Bowl twice. Many people don't respect Mahomes' Super Bowl dominance as much because he's been blown out in both of his losses, but I think you also have to consider the fact that his wins have been much more impressive, and his stats blow Tom's out of the water. Mahomes has thrown way more interceptions through his first 5 Super Bowls, but in each of his 3 wins, he's come back from at least a 10-point deficit. His crown jewel came in last year's Super Bowl when the Chiefs were down by 3 in overtime, and he threw a walk-off touchdown pass. It's not only his resume that's astounding, it's the lack of a resume that he allows his peers to have. When Brady and the Patriots were on their tear, there were years where guys like Peyton and Ben Roethlisberger snuck in to get rings. But for Mahomes, the only active quarterback to have beaten him in the playoffs is Joe Burrow, and he didn't even win the Super Bowl. It's generally agreed upon that we're in the golden age of quarterbacking, where the position is the most talented it's ever been. So it's unbelievable that Mahomes has been able to maintain such a chokehold on the AFC. Lamar Jackson has won 2 MVPs, and he hasn't been able to beat Mahomes. Josh Allen just won the MVP, but he's 0-4 against Mahomes in the playoffs, including 2 losses in the AFC Championship game. Burrow, who was the only quarterback to beat Mahomes, didn't capitalize on his chance to win the Super Bowl, and he might never get another chance. This era of AFC quarterbacks has at the very least 3 first-ballot Hall of Famers, and there's a strong possibility that not a single one except for Mahomes retires with even a Super Bowl appearance. This is the most dominant run in NFL history, and doing it in an era with so much elite talent at skill positions makes it that much more impressive. So the path to Mahomes becoming the GOAT just became a lot harder after that blowout to the Eagles, but it's more than possible. If he kept up this pace, after the next 7 seasons, he'd have 4 MVPs, he'd be 5th in all-time passing yards, and he'd be 6th in all-time passing touchdowns. He'd have 6 Super Bowl rings, and in 9 less seasons, he'd match Tom Brady's number of Super Bowl appearances with 10. And after 14 seasons, he'd likely still have a lot left in the tank. So if he ties Brady's number of Super Bowl rings, has more appearances, and his all-time stats are at least comparable to Tom's, it's going to be hard to deny him his GOAT status just because of a couple Super Bowl blowouts.